gentlemen, welcome to the Psychosin project, and joining me on Skype is someone who's a bit of a legend, the one and only Iggor Cavalera. Welcome to the show.
How are you, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
All good, all good.
Excellent. Last week, you released the new Cavalera Conspiracy album titled Psychosis. How have you found the reaction has been so far?
It's been great. A lot of positive feedback. It's been, for us, it's amazing finally to have the album out, because as any musician, once the period between when you finish the record in the studio and it comes out, it's a bit of annoying because people ask you how is the album, and for me, it's very difficult to put in words what we did. The best way is for people to listen to it. Then you can have a proper conversation on whatever they like or they don't like about the record.
Yeah, definitely. Now, talking about the album itself, it's got a very sort of early 80s, almost death influenced thrash vibe to it, like what you did with very early Sepultura. Was that intentional, or was it just how it came out during the writing of the album?
It's how it came out, like every Cavalera record we do, it really reflects the state of mind that me and Max are in, and this album is not different, so it's like the intention, it's whatever we feel at the time.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be this, in a few months it can change, so it's what we're feeling right now musically.
Yeah, it's a very, very angry album, possibly the angriest album you've released under the Cavalera Conspiracy band name, as it were. Were there any particular influences behind the sound of this album?
I think it does really actuate like the way me and Max, the music we're listening to, stuff that is going on by traveling and seeing all over the world. All those things made us make such an angry record with a lot of energy into it. And that, like I said, it could be from bands that we listen to, it can be from living day by day, traveling and seeing so many crazy things in the world,
Yeah. So it's kind of going back to what you're doing during sort of latter day Sepultura while you and Max were still in the band.
Well, I think it's pretty much what we've been doing, also in the first and the previous Cavalera records. It really just shows our mental state at the time.
Excellent. Now, what are you hoping that this album will achieve for the band?
It's hard to say because every record we put out, of course you have an expectation of people enjoying it as much as you do. And that's the main thing. We really enjoy making the record and how it sounds. And then whatever happens afterwards, it is a consequence. So we try not to on anything we've done on our whole career since the 80s, we never really try to pump ourselves too much to make you like think that it's going to be better or worse than the other album. It's just like, again, we really like what we did, and hopefully people will get the same vibe.
So was it a case of when you started writing this album, you just sort of got in and just started jamming again and again until you got the songs sort of laser beam focused, as it were?
No, that's not the case. Like with us, it's usually me and Max exchanging a lot of like demos and riffs and drum beats, and then we don't do much of a jamming thing. We go into the studio and try to capture out of all those ideas, try to put together songs out of it.
Ah, right, excellent. Now, obviously you've been in the music business for a fairly long time now. Do you have any advice for bands who are only just starting?
I think it's a good time, in the sense that back in the days, a lot of bands, they had the dream of being with a label and the label doing all these things for the bands, where nowadays I think a lot of that stuff is being cut off, like where you can expose your music through different channels, where back in the days the only channel you have, it was a record, a vinyl. So nowadays, I think with YouTube and other stuff, you can start promoting yourself in a certain way, and that's quite positive. And the only advice is to be true to yourself, and then things eventually will happen.
Excellent. Have you found that YouTube and indeed social media has helped your own bands kind of get bigger over time?
I don't know if bands get bigger, but I think the velocity of things it's what it's really cool. When you hear a name of a band, and then the next thing you know, you type the band name, and you can right away find out what do they sound like, where they're from, or whatever. That's pretty cool. Where I didn't have that growing up. If I heard about a band in a show or see somebody with a T-shirt, it took me a long time sometimes to find out what the band was.
Yeah, yeah. Now, over the last year, you went back and played the entire classic Roots album live. Did you find that maybe going back and playing that material helped to maybe influence the new album sound a little bit?
I think it was quite the opposite.
Yeah?
Yeah, like there's nothing in this record I really think it reminds me of Roots. So I think the fact that we did revisit Roots, somehow, it's almost like when you do a side project and then you don't need to do certain things in a different project. Like, let's say you feel like doing a ballad, and sometimes it doesn't really fit, but then if you have a side project that fits something like that, it works.
Yeah.
So I think it was positive in the sense that we did Roots, where it's something that we done, and then when we came time to do Psychosis, we didn't. Our mind was not really into Roots; it was somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, how did it feel going back and playing those songs, some of which you haven't played in literally years?
It's fun, actually. It is a really cool exercise for any musicians, and then of course, as a fan, I go to see certain bands that I didn't have a chance to see when they were out, like even Black Flag, which is a band that I grew up listening to it in Brazil, and I had just the chance to see them just last year.
Yeah.
And if they didn't do what I did with like Return to Roots, I never had a chance to see it. So as a fan, I think it's a really, really cool thing.
Excellent. Now, for those who haven't seen Cavalera Conspiracy live yet, unfortunately I am one of those people, how would you describe the live show?
It's two brothers, really doing what we know what to do, having fun, and putting a lot of energy, 100% of energy in what we do. And that's pretty much the core of a Cavalera Conspiracy show. It's the two of us, and then whoever's there enjoying that experience with us.
Excellent. So it's kind of that tribal feeling, as it were, how it's one big metal family as a Cavalera Conspiracy show.
Yeah, it does have that feeling also where, we're all involved in this for the music, and that's really important.
Now, what's next for the band?
Well, it's going to be a lot of touring for next year.
Yeah.
Like we're planning to do a lot of the festivals, a lot of the things, and it's a lot of work. That's all I got to say. It's going to be a lot of work for us.
You sound like you're prepared for it, though, man. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. I mean I have to say it is tiring, all the traveling and things like that.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it is what we do, and our family, they do understand the sacrifices. And sometimes we miss birthdays, we miss Christmas and things like that to be on the road.
Yeah.
And time they also know that we do something that we love. So it's very important things.
Yeah. Now, looking back over your entire career thus far, what do you feel your best achievement has been, and what have you sort of looked back on and thought, oh, maybe that wasn't as good as I was hoping?
Well, I think the best achievement and the achievement for me of success, it is what we do.
Yeah.
It is being able to survive and provide to our families with our music.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are amazing musicians, and sometimes they do have to have a different job to support. They cannot live only with music, and I know how hard it is.
Yeah.
So for me, that's success already. And then all the stuff that sometimes doesn't go as well, I think you just learn from it. You know, they're all necessary to build your career. It's the same as a human being in life. You know.
Yeah.
If you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're not enjoying it, then why would you get up on stage every night, really?
Yeah. There's no reason.
Exactly. Now, are there any sort of bands that you currently are enjoying that you can recommend to people listening to this?
Well, there's a lot of really cool bands, you know, like just the other night I went to see Nails.
Oh, yeah.
Here in London, they killed. They were absolutely amazing. And Bozer, it's a band that I've really been listening to it. Let me see. Baptist, it's a really good band too. There's a lot of great music. You know, I really enjoyed the new Godflesh. I really enjoyed the new Converge. So it's a good time for music right now.
Yeah. Well, with yourselves included as well. New album, absolutely superb new album. It has to be said. I got to listen to the whole thing last night eventually. So absolutely loved every minute of it. Helps for speak. Finally, have you got anything you want to say to your fans listening to this?
Well, the main thing is, like, we're really proud of this record, and we really hope that we can get to play as much as we can with this record player, and do a lot of touring with it, because it's going to be quite exciting to perform those songs live. We're really looking forward. I've been talking to Max like all the time, and we're super excited to do this. Excellent.
Well, Igor, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you, man.
No problem, ladies and gentlemen. Iggor Cavalera.
I turn to face it all. Sun will burn my